Hello everyone, you are on the Good Job channel. I am glad to see you on my channel. Please subscribe and like me. Thank you very much. Also, write comments about this video. It's very nice. And here is my story. Daughter, why do you need to go there? Can't we spend the holidays together? What should you do in someone else's family? Already your father and his new wife have become dearer to you than your own mother. This is not normal. Valentina Petrovna was categorically against her daughter's communication with her ex-husband, and that day once again dissuaded her from going to her father. The woman divorced her husband not long ago. She still had fairly fresh memories of their life together. Valentina was sure that their marriage was happy, and they would be together until the end of their days. But Sergei met someone else. You can't fake anything. Anything can happen in life. Only Valentina could not come to terms with this. After divorcing her husband, she wanted to erase him from her life once and for all. The resentment was too deep, but they were connected by a daughter, whom Sergei was not going to give up. The man insisted that Valentina not interfere with their communication. He regularly paid child support and fulfilled all parental responsibilities, even during the divorce. Therefore, the woman could not do anything about the fact that Sergei continued to meet with Polina even after leaving the family, and the girl was very strongly attached to her father. She took great pleasure in spending weekends with him. Valentina was annoyed by this, and she did not consider it necessary to restrain her emotions. The woman did nothing but turn her daughter against her father, trying to destroy their relationship. But Polina, although she was still too small to understand the intricacies of the relationship between a man and a woman, was quite smart. The girl understood that her mother was simply offended by her father, and that's why she was saying nothing but nasty things about him. Polina did not pay any attention to all this. The girl needed the care and support of both parents and was not going to break off her relationship with her father. And his new wife treated her quite friendly. The girl became friends with her son from her first marriage, Grisha, from the very first day, as soon as she came to visit her father. Sergei and Svetlana made plans for a child together in the future, but his wife couldn't get pregnant, and he didn't put any pressure. As God wills, so will he said every time they raised this topic. It's okay that we don't have children together yet. No. Valentina hated her husband's new family. Well, why are Polina and I worse than them? She reasoned to herself. They don't even have children together. The woman sincerely did not understand why Sergei suddenly decided to divorce her. When she lost her husband, what went wrong in their relationship? Yes, of course. In their family, like in any other, there were conflicts. But to get a divorce because of this? Valentina did not realize that there were, and could not be, any explanations. He simply fell in love with another woman and honestly told his wife about it. The man saw no point in hiding. It was not in his style. Even his daughter did not stop Sergei from getting a divorce. Valentina, when she heard that her husband was leaving her, flew into a rage. She blamed him for everything. At that moment, when the man admitted to her that he had fallen in love with another woman, it seemed to Valentina that the world had collapsed and would no longer be the same. Why are you destroying everything? She was indignant. Why is your mistress better than me? Valentina was sure that her husband had found himself a young girl. Then she would at least somehow be able to explain to herself his betrayal. But when the woman found out that Sergei was leaving her, practically the same blood as her, and with an adult son from his first marriage, she became even more angry with the man. She couldn't figure out how it could happen, and she couldn't stop thinking about it. Never before in her life had a woman felt such deep resentment. The ground was disappearing from under her feet. But no matter how much the woman tried to convince her daughter that her father was a traitor with whom she should not have any common affairs, it was all useless, and that conversation that took place on the eve of the holidays did not bring the woman the desired result. I haven't been to Dad for a long time, and I want to spend these holidays with him, Polina insisted. And the mother had to come to terms with it. Sergei came for the girl the same day. Immediately after school ended, the man took Polina to his place. I could show up tomorrow, Valentina reproached her husband once again. Polina didn't even have time to pack her things. Polina has had not only things in our house for a long time, but even a separate closet. Sergei grinned. You missed a lot. Well, or your daughter didn't consider it necessary to share this with you. Don't worry, Valya. If she needs something, we will buy it. There is no need to create a problem from scratch, and there's definitely no point in carrying things back and forth. As soon as Paulina left, Valentina again felt lonely and abandoned. She increasingly caught herself thinking that she was offended not only by her ex-husband, but also by her daughter for the fact that they had such a wonderful relationship. And in order not to plunge into these sad thoughts again, the woman was ready to do anything, just not to think about Sergei, his new wife and their joint idol, in which, for some reason, her own daughter willingly takes part. The week flew by like one day. Being constantly either immersed in work or in everyday chores, Valentina didn't even have time to gasp when Sergei brought Paulina home. The girl looked tired and sad, which couldn't help but alert her mother. "What were you doing there for a whole week?" she exclaimed displeasedly. "The child has no face." "Did you plow her there or something, so that she would serve your new family? Or what were you doing there anyway?" Sergei had absolutely no desire to get into a quarrel with his wife, and Paulina took his side, which greatly helped her father out. "Mom, Dad, and I had a wonderful time," the girl assured her. "I'm just a little tired, and I have to go to school tomorrow, but I don't want to," she asked her daughter carefully. "Now I'll feed you." But Paulina refused to eat. She had no appetite. Upon arrival, the girl immediately went to her room and went to bed. "Dad completely killed you," Valentina muttered, covering her daughter with a blanket. Suddenly, the woman's gaze stopped at the girl's legs, which were covered in some strange stains. Paulina always walked around the house in shorts, but until that moment, her mother had never noticed anything like that. "My God," she whispered. "Horrible! What is this?" In order not to wake her daughter, the woman examined her very carefully. Paulina didn't even feel it. Valentina was almost speechless. Bruises and smudges were not only on the girl's legs, they were present all over her body. And this could not help but horrify the woman, who immediately suspected the worst. Without hesitation, and without even waiting for the moment when Paulina woke up to ask her about the bruises, Valentina rushed to her ex-husband. Her visit came as a complete surprise to Sergei, but the woman did not even consider it necessary to explain herself and apologize for ceremoniously barging into the apartment. "Come on, call him here. I'll arrange it for him now, Kuzka's mother." "No, it has to be like that. They raised their son on their own. Now you will be responsible for him, and not only in front of me, but also in front of my poor unfortunate daughter." Sergei did not understand what was happening. He tried to calm his wife down, but all his persuasion and calls for sanity turned out to be absolutely useless. If Valentina got something into her head, it was for a long time. Sergei knew this firsthand. At one time, I experienced it on my own skin several times. The man realized that a scandal could not be avoided, and if so, then he simply could not help but put his ex-wife in her place. "Calm down now," he exclaimed indignantly, "and stop this farce. By what right do you even barge into my house and start a showdown here?" "Yes, your son is a scumbag," Valentina shouted. "He abused my daughter." "Where were you even looking? There is no living place on it. You should have seen her." Sergei was taken aback. He was shocked by his wife's accusations. Grisha always behaved decently. At almost 16 years old, he was not interested in boys and girls. Unlike his peers, he had never been seen in the company of representatives of the opposite sex, and it was simply impossible for him to abuse Paulina before. Sergei would never have believed it. "What kind of nonsense are you talking about, Valya?" he asked, looking his ex-wife straight in the eyes. "Listen to yourself. How could such nonsense come into your head? You are crazy? It's not me who's gone crazy, it's you," Valentina snapped. "It's okay. I'll figure it all out and send your scumbag minor to jail. Such a scumbag has no business being around normal people. He's socially dangerous. Do you really not understand? And how many more unfortunate girls like my Paulina will suffer from him if measures are not taken? Have you thought about this?" Sergei pushed Valentina out the door without waiting for her to finish her eloquent tirade. And immediately after that, he called his daughter. The man did not believe that something like this could happen in his family. The man always had a trusting relationship with Paulina, and if Grisha dared to even lay a finger on her, she would definitely complain to him. And Sergei had lived under the same roof with Grisha for several years now. The man knew him like crazy. The boy was interested exclusively in computer games, in which he hung out for hours. At best, he could go for a walk with friends in the area. Anything but girls. And there's no need to talk about interest in little girls. No, Sergei did not believe in this and definitely had to figure it out. "Yes, Dad," answered Polina. He had to figure everything out. "Yes, Dad," Polina answered when she saw Sergei's number displayed on the screen. The man immediately realized that he had woken his daughter. The girl's voice was very sleepy, and he even felt somehow embarrassed that he had disturbed her. "You were asleep, right?" he asked. "Excuse me, please. Sorry for waking you up, but I really need to talk to you." "Excuse me, please. Sorry for waking you up, but I really need to talk to you." After listening to her father, Polina was completely shocked. She didn't expect this from her mother. Of course, the girl confirmed that Grisha didn't lay a finger on her. And in general, she always had an excellent relationship with her named brother. Polina perceived him as an older friend who she could always rely on in everything. And Grisha never gave her any unambiguous hints. Everything else was completely out of the question. It all looked like some kind of ridiculous nonsense. "Okay, I'll talk to Mom as soon as she gets home," Polina promised, admitting that she hadn't heard Valentina leave. If her mother had woken her up first and found out everything, then a scandal could have been avoided. But at that moment, it was too late to think about it. Having finished talking with her father, Polina carefully examined herself and, seeing the bruises, was scared. They appeared somehow, suddenly. Suddenly. She didn't even know exactly at what moment. Even this morning, when she washed herself in the shower, they were definitely not there. Sometime later, when the mother returned home, a very serious conversation took place between her and Polina. By that time, the woman had already managed to cool her ardor slightly. And although she still did not believe that the son of her ex-husband's new darling was out of business, she still did not believe that the son of her ex-husband's new darling was out of business. She did not dare accuse the boy unfoundedly in front of her daughter. "Well, maybe you didn't share something?" the mother asked. "We got into a fight, and now you don't want to confess? That's how it was, right?" "Mom, what are you doing?" The girl was indignant. "Grisha and I have an excellent relationship. What could we not share? Moreover, we were constantly in front of our father. You can ask him. He will confirm everything for you. And anyway, how could this even come into your head? Don't you understand that you are insulting Dad and his family? You cannot do it this way. And if in the situation with Grisha, Valentina was ready to make some concessions, and even almost believed that her daughter and husband were telling the truth, then something had to be done about the bruises. Strictly and uncompromisingly, the woman told her daughter what was going on with you. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to sleep peacefully. What if this is something serious? What if you are sick with something?" Finally, the woman realized that bruises on the body can appear not only as a result of a fight or indecent acts. This phenomenon may have other, more serious reasons. All night, on the eve of going to the doctor, Valentina could not sleep a wink. Turning over from one side to the other, the woman could only think about her daughter and could not get rid of the bad thoughts that came into her head. They did not give her rest. Jumping up before dawn, Valentina woke up Polina and dragged her. She was taken to a clinic in the city center, to which the girl was very surprised. "Mom, why do we have to go so far?" she asked, confused. "Why can't we go to our regular district clinic?" "Because I don't want to wait weeks for test results," Valentina exclaimed. "And yes, I want to know everything for sure, no matter what it is. And in a regular clinic, the specialists who work are not as first class as in a private one. So we will go where I said. I hope they have a free window today." The woman did not even bother to make an appointment for her daughter to see a doctor in advance. She was so excited and nervous that, going to the other end of the city, she hoped solely for luck. Luckily, she was with them that day. "We managed to get to the doctor without an appointment and just an hour after arrival." "You are very lucky," said the administrator. "If patients had not refused to make an appointment, then, at best, you would have seen a doctor in a month. Next time, sign up in advance. Otherwise, you never know." "Okay, we'll definitely take this into account," said Valentina, who was impatiently waiting for the doctor to invite them to his office. Viktor Alexandrovich immediately made a pleasant impression on the woman. He seemed to her to be a professional in his field, who would definitely be able to help her daughter, At first, Valentina wanted to take her daughter to a gynecologist, but she read on the internet that such phenomena belonged to a completely different profile. My God, Valentina thought to herself with horror. Could my little girl have a blood problem? But from where? How so? None of us have any serious illnesses. This simply cannot happen. After the examination, the woman asked when the test results would be ready. We had to wait for several days. Doctor, I'm going crazy, Valentina wailed. Isn't it possible to make it faster somehow? No, of course. I understand that you cannot tell us the results today, but maybe at least tomorrow. Calm down, please. Victor Alexandrovich smiled. As soon as the results are ready, you will receive a call immediately, and you can make an appointment with me. But you have an appointment for several months in advance, Valentina objected. How will we get to you? Months in advance? Valentina objected. How will we get to you? It turned out that this would directly depend on the diagnosis. If there is nothing serious, then you can come for an appointment in a month or two. But if there is, Valentina tried her best to calm herself down and convince herself that there was and couldn't be anything wrong with her girl. But the test results showed the opposite. When the woman received a call from the clinic and was informed that the appointment would take place in a few days, she immediately realized that something was wrong. Polina didn't understand why her mother was so nervous. Yes, the girl felt unwell, but that doesn't mean anything. In the end, everyone gets sick. There is nothing special about it. But Polina was not just sick. The girl was diagnosed with serious blood problems and needed urgent surgery. Hearing about this, Valentina could not hold back her tears. Doctor, tell me the truth, she demanded when she took her daughter into the corridor and asked her to wait. The truth, she demanded as she led her daughter into the hallway and asked her to wait. Will my girl live? Or is everything so serious that there is no chance? I'm a mother. I have the right to know. What are you saying? Exclaimed Victor Alexandrovich, hastening to pour a glass of water for the nervous woman. How do you even turn your tongue? Polina has both a mother and a father. One of you can become a donor anyway. We will perform an operation on your daughter, and she will definitely recover. Problems could arise if the girl had no parents, or only one of them was known. In this case, we would be forced to turn to the donor bank. Waiting for a suitable donor who is not a relative is quite problematic. Polina's situation is completely different. Calm down. Everything will be fine. Better tell me when your ex-husband will be able to take a compatibility test. Running out of the clinic, Valentina immediately called Sergei, but he did not answer. The woman, as if scalded, again rushed to his house to report what had happened. Polina, who did not understand anything, barely managed to follow her mother. The girl did not understand why she should go to her father. He may be busy and will call back later, she convinced her mother, trying to stop her. Well, why such urgency? You understand a lot, Valentina snapped. So explain, Mom, Polina demanded. What's happened? What did the doctor say? And why did you take me out of the office when you were talking to him? I'm not so little anymore, and I have every right to know what's happening to me. Do not you think so? Valentina did not want to go into details and tell her daughter that her life was under threat. She was sure that this would traumatize the girl. Yes, of course, the doctor said that everything would be fine with Polina, but the woman still strongly doubted it. What if something goes wrong? She thought to herself in horror. What if the donor material does not take root and rejection begins? My God, what will happen then? Victor Alexandrovich explained all the nuances to Valentina, and she knew what to prepare for. When the woman was almost approaching her ex-husband's house, her phone rang. When the woman was almost approaching her ex-husband's house, her phone rang. It was Sergei. If you're calling again to start a scandal, then let's end this meaningless conversation right away, he said, as soon as the woman answered the phone. But what he heard next shocked him. How so? He asked excitedly. Are you sure? There can't be a mistake? What kind of mistake is there? Valentina sighed. What are you talking about? This is the best clinic, and the diagnosis was made by one of the leading specialists. Okay, sorry. I don't have the strength to discuss all this. When can you come and get tested? Yes, even right now, Sergei responded. What can we even talk about when it comes to our daughter's life? Tell me where to go. But that day, the laboratory was already closed, and Sergei arrived with Valentina the next day. For the first time since the divorce, they did something together. Their daughter's illness greatly united them and reconciled them. The couple was so worried about the girl that they did not allow themselves to swear. Valentina even caught herself thinking that she was ready to forgive her ex-husband, to forget the terrible grudge that she held against him all this time. After all, it was Sergei's donor material that turned out to be suitable for Polina, and whether the girl would live or not directly depended on it. Of course, Valentina did not beg the merits of the doctor, for whom she felt sincere sympathy, but still, much more, almost everything, depended on whether the donor material would take root or not. Fortunately, the operation was successful, but Polina had to spend several more months in the clinic. Mother and father visited their daughter every day. Valentina did nothing but run to Viktor Alexandrovich and bombard him with questions about when it would be clear whether the donor material had taken root. The woman was very worried about the consequences. The man calmed her down as best he could, convincing her that everything would be fine. Viktor Alexandrovich didn't even have time to notice how attached he became to this woman. Time flew by so quickly, Polina was on the mend. And their communication with Valentina still continued to be so frequent that sometimes the man seriously thought that her daughter was his only patient. The woman herself also eventually caught herself thinking that she was incredibly interested in communicating with him. During the time that Polina was in the clinic, the man supported her so much. Viktor Alexandrovich became a real support for Valentina, and when the girl was already completely healthy, they thought, why don't they unite their destinies? The man devoted most of his life to his professional career. He had no time to build a serious relationship and start a family, nor to raise children. Several years ago, a moment came in his life when he seriously realized that, with a high degree of probability, he would no longer become either a husband or a father. And this thought horrified him. Deep down, the man really missed home comfort and simple family happiness. Why else should one live, earn money, strive for something, if not for the sake of the woman he loves and the roaring, cheerful laughter of a child? He fully found all this next to Valentina. The man managed to become attached not only to her, but also to Polina. Of course, Viktor Alexandrovich could not perceive her as his own daughter, since the girl had a father with whom she had long had an excellent relationship. But there were never any conflicts between them. The girl treated the man very friendly and was glad that her mother had finally found her happiness and stopped saying nasty things about her dad. Sometime after the wedding, Valentina and Viktor had a son. Polina was delighted to see her brother. Now they had a real friendly family. Of course, the girl never forgot about her father and still regularly came to visit him. Sergei and Svetlana also had a child together, which they had been waiting for so long. Polina was happy that her parents no longer fight, and from time to time, they can all get together at one big table, like the closest and most devoted friends. Thank you for watching to the end. Subscribe to the channel, bro.